Good evening, everyone. We're ready to begin tonight's City of Gardena regular City Council meeting for October 9, 2018. Madam City Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Noting the presence of all council members.
Thank you. Attorney Whalen, do you have anything to report from closed session at this time?
No reportable action was taken.
Okay, thank you. At this time, if I could ask everyone to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Tonight, it will be led by Mr. Richard Gomez. Immediately following that, if you can continue standing for our invocation, which will be led by the Reverend Christopher Codrington.
Let's begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray, please. Heavenly Father, known by many names and beyond all names, Spirit of God, Spirit of life, Spirit of love, Spirit of community, Spirit of justice, and Yahweh, we ask your blessing on the people who have been called to lead a community in which we live and work and play. Help them as leaders to not ask first, how do we fix this, but what do we need to learn? How might we need to change, and to whom we do need to listen? Remind them, because we all forget from time to time, especially in the noisy of what passed for political debate today, that they are not only leaders, but also servants, and that it is their responsibility and ours to serve the common good of all. Remind them that no matter where we live, everyone, Muslims, Jews, Hindus, Sikh, Christians, or atheists, gay, straight, transgender, black or white, Hispanic or Asian, is our neighbors, our siblings, and that throughout the ages, prophets have been called the leaders of the people to respect and protect the least of those among us, our children, the elders, the poor, those who are hungry, those who have no homes, those who are ill in body, mind, and spirit, the strangers, the migrant in our midst, those who live on the margin, those who are alone, and those who are forgotten. Grant them and us the wisdom and courage to know and to do what is righteous and right and good and true. May they and we speak out when it's time to speak out, and listen patiently and respectively when it's time to listen. May they and we always be guided by the spirit of community, by the spirit of love, by the spirit of justice. This we pray in the name of all that we hold sacred and holy, all that we hold good and right and true. In Jesus' name, amen.
You may be seated. So tonight's Pledge of Allegiance was led by Mr. Richard Gomez, who is the chairman of the Gardena High School Task Force and GDAP, and we're going to hear a little bit more from him later on. So thank you again for filling in on such short notice and leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Tonight, our invocation was led by the Reverend Christopher Codrington, pastor. Please come forward. Who is the pastor at Gardena Torrance Baptist Church, which is located at 1457 West 179th Street. Reverend Christopher Codrington has been the senior pastor and associate pastor of a number of churches in the Los Angeles area since 1997. He's been serving as Gardena Torrance Baptist Church and is the pastor for the past 3.5 years. Reverend Codrington was the president of South Los Angeles Sheriff Station Clergy Council, formerly the Lenox Sheriff Station, for 6 years and has been a member since 2001. He's also been a mediator with the Centinela Valley School District and served on the board of directors of group homes. He has always had a heart for missions and has traveled the world exclusively, doing short-term mission work in Kenya, China, South Africa, China, and other parts of the world. Reverend Codrington grew up on the island nation of Trinidad and Tobago and received his formal secondary education at Vanguard College in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, and then taught at various Bible colleges in Canada. He is very involved in local ministries with Los Angeles Extreme Urban Center Association, partnering with the City of Hawthorne as a community advocate in areas of employment for people of color as it relates to companies and how they hire minorities. He and his congregation support and cooperate with the city, the community, and law enforcement and first responders, giving encouragement to connect the community, the church, and city resources. Pastor Codrington, would you like to say anything?
Sure, thank you. I do want to thank the mayor and law enforcement. On the 9th of September, we had our annual first responder service where we honor 2 law enforcement from various police department and the fire department. And so we want to thank everyone that attended that service on that Sunday morning. And I do want to say it's a pleasure to be invited to do the invocation here and to also be part of the city. I do have one announcement to make. On the 10th of November, from 9 to 11, we would be having coffee with law enforcement. Highway Patrol will be there, and if you can help me as you go around the city and find people with kids, Highway Patrol will be there to give a lecture or training on seat belts, and at that time we're going to be signing up people who would be interested in getting free car seats, sorry, not seat belt, but car seats. And so we would like to invite everyone to come through that morning and just have coffee with law enforcement and just share with us as you continue to. God bless. Amen.
Thank you.
Thank
This
you.
will be offered at your church, correct?
Yes, at the church.
And what were the hours again?
9 to 11, and it's at 1457 179th Street.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Everyone, please give him a round of applause for leading us in the invocation. So next, we're moving on to presentations, and as our new custom, we honor a veteran here within the community. And tonight's veteran that the City of Gardena will be honoring is Mr. Lonnie Jerry Smith Jr., who was selected by Councilmember Art Kaskanian. So before I read his bio, Councilmember Kaskanian, would you like to say anything?
Yes, Madam Mayor, thank you. First of all, I would like to thank Mr. Smith for your service. And I met Mr. Smith at Enterprise Rent-A-Car office. And usually when I see a veteran, either I can recognize a veteran from his hat or jacket he's wearing or some sort of, and I always approach the person and I do engage in a conversation with him and say thank you for your service. And in this case with Mr. Smith, that was the case. I saw Mr. Smith at the office at Enterprise Rent-A-Car over at Redondo Beach Boulevard. And I saw he was wearing his hat, and I approached him. I thanked him for his service, and I asked him if I can be an honor to honor him here at the City of Gardena Council meeting. So he said yes. He gave me his information. The bio of the Madam Mayor, she's going to read. I don't want to repeat the same thing, but I just want to say thank you, Mr. Smith, for your service. And I think Mr. Smith was in the Korean War. And we do really appreciate. We are here because of the veterans. We live and we are safe because of our veterans, our men and women. They're serving and protecting us. Thank you very much.
Okay. So, Mr. Smith, if you would like to come forward as I read your bio here. And it states, Mr. Smith is 84 years of age and a longtime resident of Gardena. His military service includes, he was enlisted in the U.S. Marine Corps on July 31st, 1953, and served during the Korean War until honorably discharged on July 30th, 1956, with the rank of Private First Class. He was a member of the infantry serving the 3rd Marine Division, which was reactivated at the outbreak of the Korean War. For his military service, Smith was awarded the following: the National Defense Service Medal, the Korean Service Medal, United Nations Service Medal, and the Good Conduct Medal, which is the first award. So today, along with recognizing him, Mr. Smith will receive a special medallion that was specifically designed for our veterans that we are recognizing. Mr. Smith will also receive a complimentary video of today's ceremony and be featured on the electronic board at DCH Honda on the corner of Redondo Beach Boulevard and Western. Mr. Smith, would you like to say anything?
I'd just like to thank all this, you city councilman, the mayor, Art, for the recognition. Thank you.
Oh, Mr. Smith, hold on one second. Our State Senator Stephen Bradford is here, and he would also like to recognize you as well.
Thank you.
On behalf of the state of California, we too want to recognize your service, not only to this country, but being a resident here in the city of Gardena, where you've resided for a number of years. So we're honored to recognize you, and thank you for your service as well.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You're more than welcome. Give applause. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you again for accepting our award. And next at this time, we're going to have a legislative update presentation that will be given by the Honorable State Senator Stephen Bradford of the 35th District.
Thank you, Mrs. Mayor, and Madam Mayor, I should say, and members of the City Council. It's an honor to be back here in this chamber in a city that I have resided. Next year will be 50 years, and it's been an honor to represent Gardena over the last 20 years, 12 as a member of this council, 6 as a member of the State Assembly, and the last 2 as a member of the State Senate. And as you have known for the last 8 years, I have provided a legislative update at the conclusion of our legislative year, which ended on August 31st. And just a week ago Sunday, it concluded the signing period for all pieces of legislation, which was September 30th. And I'm happy to report of the 19 measures that I introduced this year, 11 made it to the governor's desk, and all 11 received his signature. So I batted 1,000% this year, and I'm honored for that. But let me talk overall quickly about the legislative accomplishments, not of the legislation I authored, but just the overall legislation that we've achieved this year. First being funding for education. We have put more money in the history of California funding K through 12, as well as our UC and our CSU system, enough so that we avoided a tuition increase, which we feared at the beginning of this legislative session, but we were able to do that and prioritize education in the state of California. Issue of great concern to many residents, it was the elimination of cash bail here in the state of California. It's often stated that it's easier for a guilty, wealthy person to go free than an innocent, poor person. So we've eliminated cash bail in California. It's a monumental task, and we're pretty sure, as we often say, so goes California, so goes the nation, and we all already see other states that are exploring eliminating that as well. Internet protection. That's been a big issue, hacking, and that we've seen from all levels, be it from your personal accounts to business accounts to what we saw in the election in 2016. We have kind of like bolstered what we do in the state of California through internet protection, as well as net neutrality of making sure that the internet remains open and free to all who choose to use it. So we are making sure that content is not prevented from being distributed on the internet that is approved content, and making sure that there's no throttling down. We've often heard about slowing down internet speed and charging residents far more, or customers far more for increased speed. So we've kind of like tightened that up in the state of California. It's going to be a challenge to implement that on a nationwide basis, but as a state, we're doing our part to make sure that the internet is still open and free to those who choose to use it. And one other issue I just want is offshore drilling. Even though we're not quite a coastal city, we are one of the South Bay cities, and offshore drilling is of great concern. And this year we had to author a resolution to push back on what Washington was trying to do in expanding offshore drilling. So we're vigilant in making sure that we protect our pristine coastline so we can recreate at our beaches, and making sure that pollution and all those other threats from offshore drilling does not impact the state of California. As I stated, the legislative year ended on August 31st. I'll quickly go over a few measures that I personally authored and am proud to share with you. One being Transparency for law enforcement and policy and procedures, SB 978. This measure simply states that all policies and procedures, trainings, simply list them on the internet. There were 30 agencies in the state of California that was already doing it voluntarily. The governor saw fit to implement this, so it prevents an individual from having to physically walk into a police station or a city hall and under the public records request this information, and you have to pay for it. By making it available on the internet, it makes it free and accessible, and it only furthers what we say is police transparency and community-based policing. So I was honored to get the governor to sign that. And another measure, 1232, providing support for victims of crime. Victim of Crime Compensation Board, up until this measure, if you were 18 and you were a victim of a crime and you felt you were due compensation, you had only to 3 years after your 18th birthday to apply for victims' compensation. This measure now allows you 3 years after your 21st birthday, because many times people are slow to file the request or know nothing about it. So it gives the individual far more time, and it's usually the young folks who have been victims of crime who were just unaware of this. So Victims Compensation Board will help tremendous amount of residents throughout the state of California. And one measure that will impact us all is my energy efficiency, energy discount bill. We've seen increased turnoffs on electricity and gas throughout the state of California due to this tough economic time. So we passed a measure that will allow an 18% discount for those residents who qualify for the FEHA. It's the Family Energy Assistance Program. So it's similar to CARE, the California rate for alternative energy, and it allows residents, again, based on your economic status, to receive an 18% discount on their electricity bill, which is vitally important, especially at this time. And just in the interest of time, because I know you guys have a full agenda, I will just mention one other measure, 1412, which removes barriers to employment. We've seen that people who have previous convictions were being denied employment opportunities simply because of that conviction. And true, we want employers to be able to do background investigations, but we want those background investigations and those disqualifications of crimes to be relevant to the employment. And it makes no sense to deny someone employment simply because they had a DUI. And this was specifically in the banking industry. I chair banking and finance in the Senate, and we were seeing more and more people applying for jobs in the bank, and they were using irrelevant convictions to deny employment. The convictions that are important are embezzlement. I don't want someone who's embezzled funds to be working at a bank, or theft. So those are the relevant ones we ask folks to look at versus, you know, some of the misdemeanors that they were holding over people's heads. So I think it's going to lead to greater employment opportunities. And one measure that I was happy to be the co-author of this year, which will have great impact to this region, is AB 987. That's the new Clipper Arena bill. I authored that bill last year, and we weren't successful in moving it through the process. We were able to get it done this year, this last month. The governor signed that on Sunday as well, and what that will afford is the city of Inglewood to build a new Clipper Arena at the corner of Prairie and Century Boulevard. And why is that important in the city of Gardena? Is because there's a $30 million public benefits fund. So we will deal with traffic mitigation, but also what the city manager just presented to the Holly Park Homeowners Association the other day, the list of restaurants that are in the city of Gardena and the hotels that are being bought. Many times, folks to and from to the games will stop in surrounding cities. So I think the city of Inglewood, Gardena, Hawthorne, Lawndale, they will all benefit from this new arena. But more importantly, the thousands of jobs that it's going to create, both in the construction area as well as full-time employment for that arena. So I'm pretty much will end at that note. If there's any questions, I would be more than happy to answer them at this time. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for, oh, I'm sorry, you have a question? Go ahead.
Senator Bradford, what was the SBA number you said about the victims' compensation?
Victims' compensation is SB 1232.
1230.
And we'll leave a list of all the bills that I authored. I think there's going to be in the back of the chamber, but yes, it's 1232.
Thank you very much,
Okay.
sir.
Okay, thank you very much for the update and the report. And
Thank you very
continue to do a great job up in Sacramento for us.
We work hard. Thank you.
Thank you.
And for all the folks who say, why am I at home, the legislative year is from January to September. So this is not a vacation because I've done 2 of these tonight, and I'll do at all 8 cities that I represent over the next couple of weeks. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. So next at this time, we are going to present a certificate of commendation to one of our own bus operators, Mr. Melvin Dockery. Mr. Dockery, if you could come forward, and also our Director of Transportation, G-Trans, Mr. Crespo, if you can come forward. I have a certificate that I'm about to read, and then afterwards, I'll give the director the opportunity to say a few words before you, Mr. Dockery. So the certificate that he is receiving now from the City of Gardena states, certificate of commendation being presented to Mr. Melvin Dockery, and it's an official acknowledgement and with deep appreciation for your 38.2 years of outstanding exemplary service to the City of Gardena as a bus operator with the Transportation Department. So we, the members of the City Council, are pleased to present this special recognition to you for your longtime service and express our sincere best wishes for an enjoyable and rewarding retirement, which was effective September 18, 2018. And just like to say from the entire council, congratulations. Mr. Crespo, would you like to say anything?
Yes, please. Thank you. Good evening, Honorable Council, Mayor, City Manager, City Attorney. So, as our mayor stated, Mr. Dockery started in 1980. I won't even tell you how old I was. But as we went in through and looked at his file, I asked our staff, let's go through his file. And it was lots of paper. But, you know, we wanted to pull out the best short stories from the customers, right? Because that's the people he really impacted his 38 years of life. Of driving our vehicles safely and connecting. So one of the comments was, bus driver has a very positive characteristic, and therefore I have given him the name of Happy Bus Driver. Mr. Melvin showed such kindness today. He helped me cross the street. Such kindness is very rare these days. Words from his supervisors and coworkers. He had a great attitude with the passengers. He is a hard worker. He is dedicated to the job. We were like a second family. Melvin took pride in his uniform and appearance. He is a people person. He loves to talk. He's the life of the party. Always positive, good sense of humor, and most importantly, puts others first before himself. Mr. Dockery, thank you for your 38 years of service. You have impacted so many people here at the city and customers that depended on your services, and thank you.
Okay, and I thank you too. And I can't name everybody I know in here. Anyway, Mayor, sorry I didn't get over there to you, but I do like to say I thank everybody from the city of Gardena from my heart, because this has been my life. And sorry I had to go, but my time was up. And when I felt it, I walked in, I said, I can't do this no more. And so I'm not going to hold it long because I don't want to be here long either. And Mark, I have to get to you later. But I knew Mark when Mark was like that. He wasn't even thinking about being no councilman. He was riding his little bikes. And so, Brother Bradford over here, I've been knowing him for quite some time too, at different events and stuff like that. I know a lot of the people that's here, and I had to leave because there was things that was I wasn't for sure about myself, but it's time for me to go. But I can't turn around and put that on someone else when I have to look on the inside, because Gardena looked on my inside. Because when Ken Martin hired, him and Mr. Ballinger hired me back in 1980, one of the things that really got me, all the older drivers, we took a picture over here on Redondo Beach for the newspaper. And that was one of the things I'm going like, well, why you want to send me out there? And then when they opened the Redondo Beach off-ramp and on-ramp, same thing happened again with Kendi Hahn and Tom Bradley. And I'm going like, I said, you guys set me up. And so I never intended to stay here that long, but I ended up staying here all those years. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the peoples too. I'm still not gone because I still be in the city. And I will be coming through to see you. So I would just like to say thank you.
Okay. Okay, we're going to move on to our next item, which is proclamations. And we have a proclamation for Code Enforcement Officer Appreciation Week, which is October 7th through October 13th, 2018. The state of California has proclaimed the second week of each October as Code Enforcement Officer Appreciation Week. Code enforcement officers provide the safety, health, and welfare of citizens through the enforcement of local, state, and federal laws and ordinances dealing with various issues of building, zoning, housing, animal control, environment, health, and life safety. The officers have challenging and demanding roles and often do not receive recognition for the job they do to improve the quality of life for residents and businesses of local communities. They are dedicated, highly qualified, and well-trained professionals who share the goals of preventing neighborhood deterioration, enhancing communities, ensuring safety, and preserving property values through knowledge, training, application of housing, zoning, and nuisance laws. The city is extremely proud of Gardena's very own code enforcement officers, Robin Bailon, Javion Mathau, Gabriel Jimenez, and Herson Coronado. So we take this opportunity to recognize and honor them for their service and acknowledge their role in leading the way to improve the quality of life within our community. So I proclaim October 7th through 13th, 2018 to be Code Enforcement Officer Appreciation Week in the city of Gardena, and call on residents and businesses to join in expressing appreciation for the dedication and services performed by Gardena's code enforcement officers. So we have the proclamation. Well, I believe that'll go to Stephanie. Do you have that? Any of the officers here today? So we can just give them a round of applause? No? Just to be proclaimed. Well, I just personally want to thank you guys because I call in all the time on Gardena Direct. You guys do an amazing job keeping our community up, so thank you. I wanted to tell you personally, but since you're not here. The next proclamation is to Gardena Red Ribbon Week. I believe we have representatives here today from GDAP. We have Chairman Richard Gomez, members of the Gardena High School Task Force, and Jorge Guadique from ADAP, who is a community organizer. So as you're coming forward, I'm going to read the proclamation. And it states, whereas the abuse of drugs, alcohol, and tobacco impedes the ability of youth and adults to lead healthy, productive lives, and whereas California has led the nation in making expansive investments in prevention by launching the most ambitious prevention education program statewide, advocating that communities and individuals continue prevention and education and activities to discourage the abuse of alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs. Whereas Gardena Drug and Alcohol Abuse Programs, also known as GDAP, in conjunction with Gardena High School Task Force and ADAP Incorporated, are coordinating Gardena's Red Ribbon Week, celebrating to promote the California Red Ribbon celebration to support year-round prevention and education efforts, offering citizens the opportunity to demonstrate their support of healthy, drug-free lifestyles and to develop an attitude and intolerance to the use of illegal drugs and the illegal use of legal drugs. And whereas established in 1985, the National Red Ribbon Celebration will be observed again in 2018 in communities across America through Red Ribbon Week, October 23rd through 31st. during which the citizens of Gardena will show their commitment to healthy, drug-free communities by wearing and displaying red ribbons during the week-long campaign. So I proclaim October 23rd through 31st, 2018 to be Gardena Red Ribbon Week, and encourage all citizens of our community to participate in activities in conjunction with this observance and to be proactive with our neighborhoods to bring awareness, especially to each of our young people, of the need to reduce and eventually eliminate the incidence of alcohol, tobacco, and other drug abuse in our nation and state, but especially in Gardena, thereby supporting the celebration's 2018 theme, which is Life is Your Journey, Travel Drug-Free. Would you like to say something?
Turn it on.
Thank you.
I would just like to say, Honorable Mayor and City Council, that I have been up here many times, and each year it's a special tribute to me to receive this proclamation. I've lived in Gardena 26 years, and 21 of those years have been with GDAP, so it means a lot to me. I'd like to present Mr. Guendique.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, Council, staff, all those in attendance, and all of us joining us on YouTube. Thank you for proclaiming Red Ribbon Week. It is an honor as GDAP to work in drug abuse prevention for the youth within the city. We would like to present this to you. It's a sign from the Heritage Festival that just happened this past Saturday, signed by community members who are pledging to live a drug-free lifestyle with this year's theme. And as well as some pins for you all. I know we were passing out the sticker pins, and these are a little bit, more sturdy the last year. At this time, I would like to announce and like to invite all community members that on October 23rd at 5 p.m., GDAP will be decorating the Nakaoka Center lawn with red ribbons, and we are welcoming all community members to come out and join us, tying the red ribbons around the trees, and also having a little social afterwards as well. So please come out and help us decorate the Nakaoka Center lawn with red ribbons. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Very much. Okay, please give him a round of applause. We'll figure that in a second. At this time here, I'd like to ask if my colleagues don't object to this. I'd like to move the appointments item number 4C1, if we could take that out of order and bring that back up after item number 8C4, if there's no objection to that. Okay, so at this time, we're going to move on to our consent calendar. Does any member of the council wish to discuss any items on the consent calendar separately? If not, can I get a motion to approve the consent calendar as is?
So moved. Second.
Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka and a second by Councilmember Medina. Will you call the roll, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka.
Yes.
Councilmember Medina.
Yes.
Councilmember Kaskanian.
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson.
Yes.
Mayor Serta.
Yes. Let's see, so next is Planning and Environmental Quality Commission action sheet. The October 2nd, 2018 meeting was canceled, so we're going to move on to oral communications. We have 3 speakers tonight. I'd just like to remind all of our speakers that you are limited to 3 minutes unless extended by myself. When the amber light comes on, it will alert you that your 2 minutes are completed. When your red light comes on, it lets you know that your 3 minutes are completed at that time. So I ask if your final statement, if you can just wrap it up, if you've gone as far as the red light coming on, and I really appreciate your cooperation in advance. So tonight's 3 speakers, the first one is Kimberly Hatton. The second speaker is Fazia Amaru, and the third speaker is Pastor Eddie Justice Jones.
Good evening, Mayor Serta, City Council, and residents of Gardena. I am Kimberly Hatton, pleased to present to you news and updates from Sarah High School. You are invited, prospective students. We're having an open house on October 20th, 10:30 to noon, RSVP at futuresarahcavalier.org. This can't-miss event is designed for you, all future Cavaliers, parents, and guardians. Learn what it's like to be a Sarah Cavalier. We are having free high school placement test exams. We have 2 one-week courses. The time will be from 4 to 6 p.m. starting Tuesday, November 27th, and Thursday, November 29th, as well, January 15th and Thursday, January 17th, of course, at Sarah High School. Register at Sarah HSPT exam prep course. I'm sorry, and you can, already?
I think that was by era.
Oh.
I don't think that was 3 minutes.
Was it?
No. Go ahead, continue.
Oh, okay. You can call, 310-436-8315 or 310-436-8313. We have a tuition and financial aid workshop on Wednesday, October 24th from 6 to 7 p.m. Hashtag Sarah Bound. Let's talk and make it happen. And did you know that Cavaliers are scholars who lead and serve? We have 8 dual college credit classes taught on campus by professors from El Camino College. In case you didn't know, these are the news and updates from Sarah High School, and on behalf of our principal, Mr. Guzman, we wish you peace and blessings. Good evening.
Thank you. Next is Fozia Amaro.
Hello and good evening. My name is Miss Fazia Almaru. I am the mother of Kenneth Ross Jr., who was born June 26, 1992. His grandfather has been a resident of Gardena since 1955. He was my eldest son out of 6 children. He was murdered by Gardena police on April 11, 2018. He was gunned down and shot to death with the AR-15 military assault weapon. He was shot in the back, which went to his lungs, and then his heart, which killed him instantly. And they still shot him 2 more times after that. The police had no reason to shoot and murder my son. I got a call from my eldest daughter. April 11, 2018, around 2:30 p.m. in the afternoon, let me know my son had been shot by the police at Raleigh Park in Gardena. My son was bipolar and suffered from this since he was a child. He was mentally ill, and this is what they had did to him. He was transferred to Harbor General Hospital, where he was pronounced deceased. I never got to see my son at the hospital. They said no one could see him because of its investigation. He was African American and was a target for racial profiling and police brutality. I will never be able to see my son again. I want this matter to be investigated by the city of Gardena. He also left behind a 4-year-old son. He was the most caring and loving young man. I want justice for my son and my family. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, and I'm sure you'll get a follow-up from our city manager. Next, we have Pastor Eddie Justice Jones.
Good evening, Good evening, Honorable Mayor, and to this very distinguished board. I am the pastor over this young man that was deceased, Kenneth Jr. Now, this young man, from what I understand, he was afraid, so he went into the restroom because he was afraid. And I understand that immediately after he came out of the restroom, they immediately opened fire on him. They never said, put your hands up, lay down on the ground. They never gave him any specific orders. This is a civil and constitutional right which he had to live, and that right was taken away. We want this to be analyzed and evaluated. We want the city attorney to investigate it. If we have to go as far as to wherever we have to go to get answers and to get things changed and done to find out the truth, the whole truth, the mother has not received a police report yet. Not yet. And nor has she received, there's supposed to be video cameras on these type of shootings. And everyone should be responsible for their action. That includes a peace officer. Even though you're a peace officer, you don't have the right to just shoot a person down. And I think that one projectile can kill any human being. But if you fire on a human being and they're already down and you continue to fire on them, then that is no longer just a simple shooting. It's more to it. So we want this analyzed and evaluated. We want a fast-track investigation. and we will do everything necessary to rectify this enormous problem. Thank you very much to this very distinguished board, and I'm quite sure that we will get a police report, some video, and some answers. Thank you.
Thank you. And again, I'm sure you'll receive a follow-up from our city manager. And Ms. Amaro, you know, we're so sorry for your loss.
I'd like to leave a business card with...
You can leave it with our Sergeant at Arms here. Thank you. So at this time, we're going to move on to item number 8B1, Mr. City Manager.
Mayor, Serta, members of the City Council, agenda number 8B1 is an approval of a consultant agreement for building official services. Staff recommends that the City Council approve the consultant agreement between City and Mark Handler, which is a consultant to provide building official services. The City desires to retain the consultant to perform building official services included but not limited to building code plan check, building inspection, training of city employees to perform these services, and evaluation of the city's plan check and inspection processes. The agreement shall be effective immediately and cover all services rendered between June 30th, 2018 and October 9th, 2018. The agreement shall remain in effect until June 30th, 2020, or until such time the city recruits an in-house building inspector. The services shall not exceed $120,000 per fiscal year. Mr. Handler has been doing these services for a number of years for us. What is required is for the City Council to approve the consultant agreement for building official services.
Okay, thank you. Does any member of the council have any questions or comments at this time? If not, can I get a motion to approve this item?
So moved.
Second.
Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Councilmember Henderson and a second by Councilmember Kaskanian. Will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Henderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Kaskanian?
Yes.
Councilmember Medina?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka?
Yes.
Mayor Serta?
Yes. Next up is item number 8B2. Mr. City Manager.
Mayor Serta, members City Council, agenda number 8B2 is an approval of an extension agreement with JAS Pacific for building inspector services. Staff recommends the city approve an extension to the consultant agreement between the city and JAS. On August 20, 2018, the city entered an agreement with JAS Pacific for building inspector services. The agreement provided the City Council authorization was required for compensation over $30,000, and it is estimated that the contractual services will exceed that amount. The city is currently recruiting for a permanent building inspector and requires the services until that recruitment process is completed. We have a lot of activity in community development, and inspection services are in high demand. The cost is anticipated to be about $98,952 based on a $79 per hour rate, and they're averaging about 24 hours per work week. What is required is to approve extending the JAS Pacific contract.
Okay, thank you. Does any member of the council have any questions or comments? Go ahead, Mayor Pro Tem.
Just a quick question. Are these the guys that go out and do building inspections in the field?
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka. We had two. One left us recently to take another position, which created a vacancy. Because of the immediate need and the volume that it's required, we needed to have a consultant come in. Executed the agreement under my authority, but my authority is only $30,000, which will be exceeded based on how long it takes to recruit a person for this position.
And have we received complaints about any of the inspectors in the fields?
Mayor Pro Tem, I think you're referring to, there was one that came on board for us, was with us a short time. He is no longer with us. We have replaced him, which is one of the benefits of having a contract. If a person doesn't meet our satisfaction, we could go back to the contracting agency and say, we want a replacement. This one that has been replaced appears to be working well with our staff.
Thank you.
I have one quick question, and I should remember this from the state of the city, but on average, about how many inspections do these inspectors do a day?
It varies, but it could be as many as 10 to 12 inspections based on the complexity. Sometimes they're asked to come in and do inspections even on the weekends when there's some major projects to ensure that there's no stoppage in the work. We try to be very flexible in our community to ensure that things keep moving along, and as a result, we received lots of compliments from builders about our flexibility.
Okay, very good. Any other questions or comments? Okay, if not, can I get a motion to approve the extension of agreement?
Moved. Second.
Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka and a second by Councilmember Medina. Will you call the roll, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka?
Yes.
Councilmember Medina?
Yes.
Councilmember Cascanian?
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson?
Yes.
Mayor Serta?
Yes. Next up is item number 8C1. Mr. City Manager.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, agenda number 8C1 is the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development's, or also referred to as HUD, Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, also known as CAPR, for program year 2017-18. This is an item that the City Council sees every year. The staff requests that the City Council receive and file the Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report for the program year 17-18. HUD requires that all grantees of community development block grants funds submit a report within 90 days at the end of the program year. The CAPR provided HUD officials and the public information on the city's overall performance as compared to the performance goals and community needs identified in the city's 5-year consolidated plan and the annual action plan adopted by the city. There was public notice in the Gardena Valley News on September 3rd, 2018, and the draft CAPR 2017-18 has been available for public review and comment for the required 15-day period through September 28th. There were no comments received during the notice period. There's no fiscal impact was required as to receive and file the CAPR for the program year 2017-2018.
Okay, thank you. Does any member of the council have any questions or comments on this? If not, we're going to receive and file this item here, and we're going to move on to item number 8C2. Mr. City Manager.
Mayor, members of the City Council, agenda number 8C2 is resolution number 6332, fixing and establishing benefits for all unrepresented positions which are not covered under an approved memorandum of understanding with a collective bargaining unit, and which also repeals resolution number 6051. Staff recommends that the City Council adopt the resolution number 63332, updating the list of positions considered unrepresented and or confidential, as well as the benefits entitled to the members of this group. Resolution number 6332 repeals resolution number 6051, which was adopted in 2012. Unrepresented employees covered by this resolution include elected positions, appointed positions, executive management positions, confidential positions, transitional positions, and others described in the resolution. Essentially, this sets those unrepresented employees, what they are able to be compensated in terms of pay, benefits, and other things that are not necessarily in other MOUs.
Okay, thank you. Does any member of the council have any questions or comments about this? If not, can I get a motion to adopt resolution number 6332?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Councilmember Medina and a second by Councilmember Cascanian. Will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Medina?
Yes.
Councilmember Cascanian?
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka?
Yes.
Mayor Serta?
Yes. Next up is item number 8C3. Mr. City Manager.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, 8C3 is resolution number 6347, opposing the State of California's Proposition 6 that eliminates certain road repair and transportation funding or repeal of an SB1 funding. This is a council directive for the city manager. Staff recommends that the City Council adopt resolution number 6347, opposing Proposition 6. The November 6, 2018 ballot includes Prop 6, which would eliminate approximately $5 billion statewide for certain road repair and transportation funding by repealing Senate Bill 1 if it's approved by voters. The revenue estimate over a 10-year period between fiscal year 27-18 for the next 10 years is approximately $17 million, the impact to the city of Gardena. The anticipated funding from SB1 would be used to rehabilitate the maintenance of our city streets, networks, medians, pedestrian improvements, and other transit enhancements. The funding is critical to increasing the safety of residents and maintaining the pavement condition index of the city streets. There is no fiscal impact. What is required is to adopt the resolution.
Okay, thank you. Does any member of the council have any questions or comments? I have one. So this is on the November ballot, correct?
Yes. Yes, Mayor.
So, and I mean, I understand the city has not opened any type of campaign committee, but if there are any groups out there right now that are saying oppose Proposition number 6, is there some way we can have, like, City of Gardena is going to, you know, be hurt tremendously if, you know, if this isn't passed, just so that people will know not to vote for this because how it's going to impact our community? Is there a way that we could get it out there in that sense? I mean, I know there's certain election laws what we can and can't do in the middle of an election, but just to make people
The
aware
city
of
is
this.
taking a position in terms of its formal position on this ballot measure, you know, advocating directly for how voters should vote is not something that, you know, elected officials should do.
Okay.
Directly from, you know, the bench or in their official capacity.
Correct.
With respect to the partners that we have, the California League of Cities is very active
Okay.
in opposing this measure, and they certainly will appreciate that we're another city that's come on board officially recognizing that we are opposed to this measure, and they will use that to leverage the global campaign that they're running.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions or comments?
Just a quick one.
Mayor Pro Tem?
California League of Cities is opposing this, so we are actually supporting what all the California leagues are talking about.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any other questions, comments? If not, can I get a motion to adopt resolution number 6347?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka and a second by Councilmember Henderson. Will you call the roll, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka?
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Cascanian?
Yes.
Councilmember Medina?
Yes.
Mayor Serta?
Yes. Next up is item number 8C4. Mr. City Manager.
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, agenda number 8C4 is an item that's been under discussion for about 6 months. It's regarding a resolution number 6348 approving an amendment agreement for the California Cities for Self-Reliance Joint Powers Authority to admit the City of Gardena as a trade member. The Joint Powers Authority is composed of Los Angeles County Card Club cities whose interest is to seek out and preserve opportunities for revenues from the California game economy. The authority is composed of the following cities: cities of Bell Garden, cities of Commerce, city of Compton, city of Cudahy, city of Hawaiian Gardens, and city of Inglewood. As a trade member, the city is granted the right to elect one of its council members to serve as a board member of the authority, and it also has the right to appoint a delegate. As a member of the board of directors of the authority, the city will have the right to vote in all meetings. Initially, the city was a founding member of this JPA, but withdrew in 2015. The city has determined it would be in the city's best interest to rejoin the authority due to the proposed changes for the Department of Justice and Bureau of Gaming Control, and as well as other potential impacts that are facing the gaming industry in California. They could have a very adverse effect on our budget, considering that our general fund budget is approximately 14% funded by card club revenue. The staff recommends that the City Council approve the resolution allowing the City of Gardena to rejoin the Joint Self-Reliance Joint Powers Authority. The fiscal impact is an annual fee of $30,000, and what is required by the council is adopt the resolution 6348, and then subsequent to that, go back to the appointment position within the agenda and appoint a member and a delegate.
Okay, thank you. Does any member of the council have any questions regarding this item here? Or comments? Councilmember Cascanian.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. City Manager, in 2015, we were out, we said, right?
That is correct.
Why we were, like, we weren't, I would say, a member or?
That's correct, a member.
Member.
There was a variety of factors having to do with the relationship between the card club owners and the authority. The authority is now a much, it is a very self-reliant and separate organization that does not function under the control of the card clubs. At one point, the card clubs were the funding body for the Joint Powers Authority. That ended, which required each city to pay its fair share to keep the authority in place. And at that time, the city council, or the city manager and city council decided it wasn't prudent to move forward. The gaming in California is a very moving is a moving target, and there's a lot of things that are occurring statewide that by being part of this alliance we can become informed, we can have our voices heard, and as I mentioned, this is such a very important part of our general fund. Although some cities have it a much more important part of their general fund, it is something that the $30,000 we think it'd be worth to have ensure our voices are heard on this very important issue.
Thank you very much, sir.
Any other questions or comments at this time? If not, can I get a motion to adopt? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. What's your question or comment?
One of the reasons why that should become more prevalent now is we're the only city that has 2 card clubs, and granted it's owned by the same person, but like you said earlier, originally all the card club owners were paying for it, and then when they started trying to charge the cities for it, that's when the city manager at that time was not very happy with paying the fee. But it's one of those things that, like you said, the city will have a voice when it comes to the card clubs or poker clubs, should I say, rather than the card clubs, because a lot of people confuse those with Indian card clubs or Indian casinos, and we're not. Our card clubs are poker clubs, and I would advocate joining.
Thank you. Just one more thing, Mayor and City Council members. The Executive Director, Rudy Bermudez, is here in the audience, sitting there if you have any questions directly for him.
Okay. Are there any questions or comments, especially while we have the director here? If not, can I get a motion to adopt resolution number 6348?
So moved.
Second.
Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Councilmember Medina and a second by Councilmember Cascanian. Will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Medina?
Yes.
Councilmember Cascanian?
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka?
Yes.
Mayor Serta?
Yes. Okay, so at this time, we're going to go back to the item that we moved, which is item number 4C1 under appointments. So does any member of the council have any appointments to be made to any commissions, committees, boards, or council at this time? Go ahead, council member. I'm sorry, Mayor Pro Tem? Mayor Pro
I
Tem?
got demoted?
No, Mayor Pro Tem.
I'd like to appoint you
Oh.
as our representative
Okay,
to the Joint Powers Authority.
okay. Do we also need to appoint an alternate as well?
That is correct.
Okay. I'd like to appoint Mayor Pro Tem because I believe you have a background in
Card clubs?
in card clubs. I believe when you were with the police department, my understanding.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's right, you did at one time. So at this time, if there are no other objections, I'd like to make a motion to, or would somebody like to make a motion to appoint myself as the representative and Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka as the alternate to the JPA?
You just need a second at this point, right?
Yeah, because you already made the motion.
No, I said, would somebody make the motion?
I thought I did.
Oh, I'm sorry, you did. I'm sorry, my apology. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka and a second by Councilmember Henderson. Will you call the roll, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka?
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Cascanian?
Yes.
Councilmember Medina?
Yes.
Mayor Serta?
Yes. One quick clarification. Mayor Pro Tem, do you mind asking the question to City Attorney?
Okay, so I nominated her to be our representative. So do we need to vote on me to be the alternate? Or is that just?
One motion, handle both.
That's our understanding that that motion, just for clarification of the council, that motion was carried for both the primary and alternate.
Okay, thank you. So next, we're going to move on to item number 8D1. Mr. City Manager?
Mayor Serta, members of the City Council, agenda number 8D1 is to authorize $100,000 for contractual services, which is Amendment 2 with West Coast Arborists, Inc. for tree maintenance services. The city entered into agreement with West Coast Arborists in April 2014 for tree trimming services throughout the city. As of August 2018, the city has a tree inventory consisting of, believe this or not, 13,555 trees in our city throughout the streets, parks, and city-owned facilities. And the estimated value of those trees is about $25 million. Systematic tree maintenance programs such as this program will help West Coast arborists include the need for emergency maintenance, help prevent liability problems, reduce tree mortality, and improve the urban forest health and real value over the long term. This issue of trees is something that our city should really pay attention to and needs to invest in. We have a number of empty tree wells throughout the city. And what trees do and add to the livability of a community cannot be understated. Not only is it good for the environment, it breaks up the urban jungle that we all live here in this metropolis in Los Angeles. This is the first start of a long-term plan to revitalize our tree inventory and continue to expand the presence of mature trees in our community that add the aesthetics that I think we all want. So the city allocates currently $75,000, which really does nothing more than barely does a 5-year trimming cycle on our trees. By increasing this agreement to by another $100,000 to $175,000, the city is working towards maybe closer to a 3 or 4-year cycle. The additional $100,000 will be used to service an additional 663 trees this year beyond what the original $75,000 paid for, and addresses some of the specific tree maintenance areas that have been identified by the community and a lot of community complaints. The additional impact will be $100,000, which will be funded by gas tax. We will be looking at our master tree plan very carefully. And although this is focused on our maintenance on our current trees, the next stage in this would be to focus on long-term investment and replanting those trees that are missing throughout our community. And just as a short story on how important this is, it was not long ago when I first took over Public Works that when we took trees out, we were filling in the tree wells with cement as opposed to replanting trees, which I put a stop to. But that had occurred for quite some time. So we have many, many tree wells that are empty that I'd like to see the City Council move towards adopting a long-term strategic plan for getting those planted and revitalizing our urban forest. So what is required is to have the City Council authorize and execute the contract amendment number 2 to add the additional $100,000 of funding for our tree program.
Okay, thank you. Does any member of the council have any questions or comments? If not, can I get a motion to authorize and execute contract amendment number 2?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka and a second by Councilmember Kaskanian. Will you call the roll, please?
Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka.
Yes.
Councilmember Kaskanian.
Yes.
Councilmember Medina.
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson.
Yes.
Mayor Serta.
Yes. Next up is item number 8D2.
Mayor, Serta, members of the City Council, agenda number 8D2 is an award of contract to Sequel Contractors, Inc. for Crenshaw Boulevard Street Improvement Program, which runs from Redondo Beach Boulevard all the way to Rosecrans on Crenshaw. The award for the contract for this improvement will be made to Sequel Contractors, Inc. From Santa Fe Springs, California, in the amount of $499,470. Staff recommends that the approval be made, and it is needed as part of our capital improvement plan. The City Council initially approved the plans and specifications and authorized us to go to bid in the August 14th, 2018 meeting. We received 4 bids. Sequel Contractors came in as the lowest bidder, and they are a responsible bidder. They are state licensed with verified successful construction experience in this field, and they will be required to meet all bonding and financial statements. The project will cold mill and overlay approximately 250,000 square feet of asphalt pavement repair, approximately 2,300 square feet of concrete pavement, repair 300 square feet of concrete sidewalk, and repair 200 linear feet of curb and gutter, and plant 7 new trees. Sufficient funds are to be able to complete this project were appropriated by the City Council in the 2016-17 capital improvement budget using Prop C local return funds. And these, when they do the cold mill and overlay, they will abide by our recycling requirements to try to recycle as much as they can out of the cold milled material. The budget amount is $650,000, which includes engineering, design, construction management, and inspection. Once again, the funding source is Prop C, local return. What council is required to do is award the contract.
Okay, thank you. Does any member of the council have any questions or comments at this time? Councilmember Henderson?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. City Manager, in regards to CEQA contractors being the low bid, do we have any protections in there for us in case they have a failure to perform some of the milestones? We can terminate the relationship?
Yes, all these capital improvements have to be bonded. So if they fail to meet the requirements, we would act upon the bond and have the work completed with the bonds.
Any other questions or comments? If not, can I get a motion to award the contract to CEQA contractors?
So moved.
Second.
Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Councilmember Henderson and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka. Will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Henderson?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka?
Yes.
Councilmember Kaskanian?
Yes.
Councilmember Medina?
Yes.
And Mayor Serta?
Yes. Next up is item number 8G1.
Mayor, Serta members, City Council, agenda number 8G1 is an agreement with G-Trans for the TAP Farebox Upgrade Project. In June 2018, the Los Angeles County Metropolitan Transportation Authority, or Metro Board, approved $10 million in regional funding to upgrade aging TAP fare boxes and driver control units for participating municipal TAP partners like G-Trans. All of the municipal providers within Metro's area will be required to do this upgrade. The upgrade will actually be no cost to G-Trans and will include hardware and software upgrades. G-Trans will be able to take advantage of pricing negotiated by Metro from Cubic Transportation Systems, Inc., or Cubic. G-Trans is required to enter into its own agreement with Cubic, not under a master agreement with Metro, for procurement, delivery, installation, warranty, and testing of the farebox equipment in the amount not to exceed $651,117. G-Trans will be reimbursed after meeting milestones by Metro for the cost of the upgrades. Just an example, there's going to be about upgrades to about 56 kits and installs. They're going to have about 15 spares, a number of farebox lids. Apparently, they need those to be replaced more frequently, and some computers, which adds up to the $651,000 I've mentioned. Staff recommends that the City Council authorizes the execution of the agreements with Cubic Transportation Systems, Inc. and Metro for the farebox upgrade project. For those of you who have not used a TAP card in any Metro or any other municipal lines, it is a very, very convenient way to ride public transportation and to reload those cards. It does also minimize the interaction between the drivers and the people paying the fares, because it's very seamless. So I think it's a very good enhancement for our bus collection system. What is required by the City Council is to approve the agreements with Cubic.
Okay, thank you. Does any member of the council have any questions or comments? Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. City Manager, I don't say this to Mr. Washington, but are we sure that Metro's going to reimburse us at the end of this?
Yes, I think we have a good history with them. This is required because of all of the public transportation systems within this metro area being required to use the Metro, the TAP card system. And it is a significant advancement, but we're very, very confident that Metro will reimburse us.
Okay. Hold on one second.
There is also a TAP farebox upgrade reimbursement agreement in your package.
Right.
Which you will be approving at the same time.
Okay. Councilmember Medina?
Well, the other thing that's on the city side is that Mr. Crespo and myself both belong to the Metro Service Council, so we have a little bit of juice.
Okay. Any other questions? I have one. After reading through this, several pages here, I wasn't quite for sure. Will it still take cash along with the TAP card, or cash is completely eliminated? Because I didn't see that.
I believe it's still be able to do both.
You can? Okay, good.
Eventually, I think they'd like to get to just one, but it will still do both.
Well, I just kept reading through it, and I never addressed that on here. So
Because some of the newer buses have TAP cards not only in the front, but also in the back.
Oh, Oh,
So you can enter the back of the bus and use your tap card. And if you go through the front, it's the only time you can use cash.
okay.
In your cancel packages, we actually put pictures of what they look like.
Right, I saw that on there.
Yeah.
And to my knowledge, all of our buses still, you only pay in the front of the bus still, correct? Not in the back part? Okay, just checking. Okay, can I get a motion, I'm sorry, with any other questions or comments? If not, can I get a motion to approve the agreement here?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam City Clerk, there was a motion made by Councilmember Medina and a second by Councilmember Cascanian. Will you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Medina.
Yes.
Councilmember Cascanian.
Yes.
Councilmember Henderson.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka.
Yes.
And Mayor Serta.
Yes. Next, we're going to move on to item number 9A1. Mayor Pro Tem, would you mind giving your report during your
Absolutely not.
remarks? Okay. At this time, we're going to move on to council directives. Does any member of the council have any directives at this time for our city manager? Let's start with Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to get an update on how far we are with putting the monthly reports online, so we can start getting those online. And the second one is, I would definitely need a second, because everything costs money. I need a new City of Gardena shirt, because I had so much fun at the street fair that I got some food stains on my shirt, so I need somebody to give me a second on that shirt.
I second that. I need one too.
Mayor Serta and members of City Council, as far as the electronic monthly report, we've pretty much finished the final draft. The directors are looking at it. It is a completely new monthly report that is very visually pleasing and easy to understand and digest the information. So we're going to shoot for hopefully November, getting that as the date that we start launching those. Also, if you notice in our lobby, we can put some of that information in that on the big screen in our lobby.
That'll be
And the
great.
shirts, don't worry, we'll get the shirts.
Is that it? Okay. Councilmember Medina?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I don't need any shirts because I make sure I have something in front of my shirt before I eat. I was just following up on last council meeting request about taking a position on Measure W with regards to the water tax for the LA County. Is that going to be agendized for the next city council meeting? Because by that time, we'll only have like 2 weeks before the election.
I actually have it on my remarks.
Oh, great. Okay. Hopefully it's positive, but thank you.
Any more directives? I have one. I'd like to look into the possibility of seeing how feasible it would be to have some type of training for maybe our new commissioners, more specifically like our planning commissioners, rent mediation commissioners, because these commissioners come in contact with the public and dealing with new businesses coming into Gardena, also with rent mediation. You're dealing with cases between landlords and tenants, and sometimes when we appoint people to these boards, they come with no experience, so it takes a while for them to, really understand what their job is, even though they want the position, or we may think, they're good for the position. And I think more so even with planning commission, because they need to know early on what some of the ethics are, what you can and can't do. And sometimes we don't have our ethics training until, I think it's like every 2 years. And if you're a commissioner that just comes on right after we finish having our training, it might be 2 years before you have that. So I'd like to maybe look at seeing if we could have that for our new commissioners sooner.
The training for the Planning Commission is scheduled to be in November.
Okay.
So they're going to do exactly what you're asking there. We have not
okay.
looked at scheduling for mediation, but I will put that on the list of things to do.
Okay, and I don't know as far as the others, how they're interacting with people, but I know those are the two that kind of stick out the most as far as, monthly they're meeting with applicants every month. So that's it. Do I need a second, Somebody second that?
Second.
Thank you. Okay, if there are no other directives at this time, we're going to move on to the city manager remarks regarding directives and council items.
The first item that I've produced is a annual report by the South Bay COG. It's in your package for you to review and gives a kind of a snapshot of what's going on. The city of Gardena certainly wants to move from the gold level to the platinum level at the city manager's office. Alejandro Orozco has now been put in charge of working with general services to try to see what we can do across our city to increase our energy efficiency, standing from the gold level to the platinum level, which we'll work diligently to do. There's a memo in there about some complaints from meter readings on Golden State Water and the information they provided us. The memo that Councilman Medina is asking about is Measure H, which is a stormwater tax law.
Measure W.
Yeah, Measure W. Staff has not brought back a resolution because there are some conflicting positions. The South Bay COG has elected not to take a position on Measure W. There's information there on the opposition for Measure W and then the support for Measure W. And what we were looking for is further clarification based on the information on what exactly resolution you wanted us to bring back to the City Council, because the COG has taken no position on it. The local League of Cities has taken a position on it, but not our local COG.
Can you double check with the COG? Because I was there when we voted on it and it was voted down. It was voted opposed. And I sent you a notice with regards to the opposition. So can you double check that? I'd appreciate it.
Will do. I mean, the notice, I'll double check it, but it looked like they did not take any position. So maybe it was how it was written in the minutes or something, but I will double check on that.
It was a 12-7 vote.
To oppose?
Correct.
Okay. So based on that information, if the City Council wants us to bring back a resolution, we'll do it right away in terms of opposing, or if you look at this information and if you want us to bring us for the next council meeting, you're going to have to give us some direction at this point.
Okay, well, I guess that'll be per confirming all this information. If you have that information by that time, then you can bring it back before the council.
Okay, so clarification, if the confirming the COG has voted to oppose it, bring back a resolution opposing Measure W.
That's correct.
Okay, is there a second?
Is there a second to that?
Second.
Okay. I think you were on the mic, so we'll go with Councilmember Medina second.
Okay. Just a couple other quick items. The Gardena Job Fair is going to be held Thursday, October 18th, at 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. This is a combined effort with the South Bay Work Investment Board. Hopefully we get a good turnout here, and it's something that we're looking forward to. The Finance Committee meeting is tomorrow at 10:10 at 2 p.m. We'll go over the year-end report for last fiscal year and some other interesting things that we're looking at in terms of enhancing revenues and cutting costs. The City Hall remodel is getting closer to be completed. As you've noticed, there's nice furniture in there. There's a nice big screen TV that not only highlights different programs in our community, we're also now adding, in services, we're now adding like video and other slideshows from our different events like jazz or heritage, food and wine. So people sit there, they can see all the different great things that the city does throughout the community. The kiosks for the lobby are forthcoming, but it is, and the signage will be installed within the next 2 weeks. So for the most part, the remodel should be complete. The last thing is, at the last council meeting, we had a lot of community members speak out on a development, and not only on this one, but others. There's been, I think, some disconnect about providing community education to the community about how the entitlement process works, and providing information about noticing, the state required laws and mandates, CEQA, all those things. So I was looking for direction from the City Council to see if it would like us to engage our community and have some community meetings on explaining how this process works through city government, that it's not arbitrary, that it goes through a level of checks and balances, some which we have control over, some we don't, based on if they meet, you know, the development standards by right, those kind of things. So I'm looking for direction from council if that's something that we would want to do is outside of a council meeting, just have sort of a forum to explain development, the procedures, and the process that we take here in Gardena.
I think that'd be a great idea to move forward with that. Is there a
I'd
second?
second that.
Okay.
Thank you. We'll do it. That's all I have to report, Madam Mayor.
That's all you have? Okay. Okay, we're going to move on to council remarks. First up tonight is Councilmember Medina.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Since our last council meeting, I've delivered cakes to 7 convalescent homes in Gardena, and they're big half sheets that feed about 40 people. And this time, everyone had birthdays in September for some reason, but they enjoyed the cake, so I was really happy about that. I also got to attend the Employee Recognition Awards, and I don't know who was in charge of that, but it was a lot of fun. Normally, it's kind of boring, but this time it was a lot of fun. and my hats off to Chief Kang on his chili. I think I put it on everything, including celery and everything else I could put it on. And I like your idea about all the department heads being the cooks. That was a great idea, and it was actually a lot of fun. I had another appointment to go to, and I didn't want to leave, but I had to go. But kudos to whoever was in charge. I also attended the West Basin Water Association, and apparently we're not headed for a drought, but at the same time we're not getting a lot of water up and down California, including the Colorado River. It's been a little dry, but there's no urgency. Just conserve water, and hopefully we'll stay on track as far as the water management is concerned. I also attended the South Bay Cities Council of Governments, where maybe I was on drugs. I could have sworn we rejected Measure W, but we also accepted other measures that the COG would support, and it was a very, very vigorous conversation, if that's the way to put it. I also attended Jimmy Rodriguez's funeral Saturday, which he's a guitar player I've known since I had hair, and he was very strong recording guitar player and very, very jovial, very, very personable, and I'm glad that we're closing our council meeting in his name. He was a great guitar player and a great human being, and that is my report.
Okay, thank you. Next is Councilmember Kaskanian.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Since our last meeting, I had a few events. It was a busy a month. And on September the 15th, I attended the Gardena Beautiful Day, and with Madam Mayor and my colleague, Councilman Henderson, we planted a tree. And it was a lot of supporters and participants. Art Junior, yeah. And thank you to all supporters and participants. I did visit a couple parks, and at the Freeman Park, a few people, they were painting the concrete benches, and inside the building too as well. And I visited the Raleigh Park as well. So they were painting the basketball court. So I helped them a little bit. You know, I tried to do my best, even though sometimes I paint car, but this time I painted the basketball court. So it worked out pretty good. September the 22nd, Food and Wine Cigar, no, right? Yes, Food and Wine Cigar Festival, a great event. Thank you, everybody. Great job. It was a job well done. September 26th, I attended Councilman Henderson's installation to ICA. Councilman Henderson, congratulations. September 30th, I attended the Armenian Catholic Church Our Lady of Martyrs 65th anniversary, and I presented a certificate of recognition from the city of Gardena to the church and to Father Armenak Bedrosian for his 20th priesthood anniversary as well. I attended the Employees Recognition Day, great event. Chief Kang, I love the chilies. It was great. Thank you very much. Pancake breakfast benefits the K9 fundraising. Great job, Gardena Police. Job well done as well. And that will conclude my report, Madam Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Next up is Mayor Pro Tem Tanaka.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll start with my trip to the League of California Cities convention in Long Beach. It was 3 days. It was pretty fast and furious. I know Becky attended the city clerk's workshop. There was a lot of things to do there, to visit. They talked about propositions and SBs and a whole bunch of stuff, some of the measures that were out there. They had a leadership presentation at one of the openings, and I gave our city manager the book that was given to us by the person that lectured. That guy was very inspirational as far as leadership went. I hope you get what I got out of that book, so it was pretty good. Met a lot of other politicians from up and down California. It was quite an experience for me because that was my first big one. And they had a huge group of vendors there, and I grabbed what I could grab. So the city manager has all the stuff that I brought back, and he'll distribute it to to our general services and those things that might work for us. So it was a great time. I appreciate that I could represent our city amongst all the other cities in California, and I really learned quite a bit about being in politics in California. So thank you for allowing me to do that. Besides that, so I attended the 9/11 memorial ceremony here put on by our police department, and it was a great job. Thank you, Chief. We appreciate that. I attended the community cleanup. Thank you to, just a kudo to my church, Gardena Valley Baptist. I think they had 35 or 40 people out there. It was just, I'm really proud of them, and I thank them for coming out and doing this every year. Don't be mad, but I went on a short vacation to Maui, so I missed some of the functions. Gina missed the picture, the team picture, and I missed some of the city organized functions, so I apologize for that. Went to the Food and Wine Festival. Thank you for putting that on. It was a little smaller this year, but I think it was still a successful event. People really enjoy this event and have a great time. I think Mark and I enjoy that the most, don't we? Yeah, absolutely. Attended the K-9 Police Department pancake breakfast, and your dogs, your little stuffed dogs, I'm sending them back to Colorado for my daughter's class, so each one could get one of those. Thank you very much for doing that, and I hope the K-9 program made a lot of money. Heritage Festival right after that. The mayor and I had a pretty good time. We ran on the train, but it was a great day there. And then I have to apologize to the Barrazas family that I missed the funeral for Oscar, and I really do apologize, but I sent them a card and a letter to represent myself. And lastly, I know there's a lot of coyote stuff. Just remember, we have coyote pamphlets in City Hall. They're available. If you're not sure about the coyotes, pick one up and you'll know everything you want to know about that. That ends my report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next up is myself. Had a lot of events that I attended, so I'm going to go through this very quickly. First off, I attended the District 2 Neighborhood Watch meeting where their subject was the Senior Commission, and their guest speaker was Doug Mills, who's the coordinator, and I just want to commend him for doing a great job and explaining what the Senior Commission does to the community. Also, I attended the Gardena Cleanup Day, and I want to thank all the organizations that participated in that day. And what was really interesting was that we saw people who were volunteering as young as 5 and 6 years old, painting and just sweeping and so on. So I'd just like to, like I said, thank all of the parents who brought their kids out, all of the organizations. And in fact, one of the groups, while I was kind of walking around and visiting different ones, people were stopping by saying, how can we participate next year? Because they thought it was pretty impressive. How they were seeing groups all over the city cleaning up, fixing walls, painting, cleaning up the railroad tracks, et cetera. So thank you again to all of them. And then also on September 20th, I attended the Women's Mayors of America's Conference at the White House in Washington, D.C. Was really excited to be invited to that. This isn't a normal conference that we would attend. So even though I was representing the city of Gardena as the mayor, I did pay for this separately on my own. It was not at a city expense, so I just want to make that clear. But some of the things that we discussed there was opportunity zones, career opportunities for military spouses, economic recovery following a natural disaster, fighting the opioid epidemic. And what impressed me the most about this conference was that usually when you go to these conferences, they're just kind of talking to you, telling them what they plan to do, but they were really interested, at the White House, they were really interested in hearing what we as mayors, how we felt that the federal government could help our cities out more. So I was happy to be able to be there to kind of voice our opinions here from Gardena, and they plan to continue following up with us. So it was very exciting being there, and we were actually surprised. We had an unexpected visit by the vice president, which was really exciting. He just came in and said hello to everyone, so that was kind of neat. Also, upon returning, I attended the Food, Wine, and Cigar Festival, and I just want to thank everybody who was involved in planning of that event. You did a great job. One of the ways you can always tell if an event is very successful, and that's when at the end of the event, nobody wants to leave. So they were still cleaning up the tables, but people were just kind of sticking around because they were just having such a good time. So thank you again to all involved with that. I also attended the the memorial service for Oscar Barraza, who was our park maintenance supervisor with the Parks Division of our General Services Department. And I know we adjourned in his memory before, but I just think it's important to note that he was a loyal employee for the city of Gardena for over 31 years of service. Very good employee. I also attended another Neighborhood Watch meeting in District 1, and we discussed a variety of information, but the big thing that was a topic of discussion was coyotes, and I think that's kind of been going on all over the city. So as Mayor Pro Tem mentioned, we do have these flyers, so if you would like a copy of that, please come by City Hall. It gives a lot of basic or good information on how to deal with it. I have neighbors calling me up saying there's a coyote in my backyard or there's one running down the street. So they are here, and we do need to be, vigilant because they're out here. And sometimes you even see them during the daytime. So I think it's a good idea that we even have this handout that was created. I also attended the South Bay Work Enforcement Investment Board orientation meeting. I've attended that once before, but I wanted to familiarize myself with job opportunities that were available through One Stop. And if anybody is interested, I have a packet like that thick, if anybody would like to go through it and see some of the different types of programs that are offered through One Stop. I also attended the installation ceremony for our new ICA president, Councilmember Henderson. I just want to say congratulations again. I also want to give a special thank you to the staff for putting on that event. The event went really nice. In fact, elected officials from our neighboring city, they were just so impressed with it. I don't know why they didn't think Gardena could put on an event so good, but it was really nice. So thank you again to all of you for that. I also, on the next day, attended the Employee Recognition Day, and I want to thank our employees for continuing to do a great job. I attended the annual Police and Fire Department Civic Recognition Ceremony that was hosted by the Gardena Moneta Masons, as we honored Gardena Officer Sergeant Mike Sargent and LA County Firefighter Dave Dombrowski from Station 158 here in Gardena. Just want to thank them for their outstanding contributions to our departments. I also attended the funeral services for Verna Jelks. We're going to be adjourning in her memory today. Just like to mention that she was a very good friend of mine, great resident in our community. She always attended tons of events, whether it was a Second Time Around Club, Neighborhood Watch meetings. I just always loved to be involved, so we're definitely going to miss her. I also attended the Coffee with a Cop at Amadine. And then immediately following that, I went on a tour of the LAX airfield with Councilmember Henderson. And some of the really exciting things that are coming forward with LAX is that they're going to be building new terminals there. And they have some new programs where their customs and their border people are trying to introduce facial recognition, and with the hopes of possibly going ticketless. So it's a great way that as you're exiting the plane, you don't have to pull out a ticket, and by the time you start going through customs, your picture already comes up with all of your information on there, and you can just kind of keep moving to make your experience much quicker. They also mentioned that they have a new app called flylax.com that you can use right now if you want to get through LAX really quickly, which I thought was really neat. And the other thing that really stood out for me was that they predict by 2023, that when you go through, let's just say you go through Terminal 1 and you go through the security checkpoint, by 2023, once you go through the checkpoint, if you have time, you can actually walk from Terminal 1 all the way through the U to Terminal 8 without going back through the checkpoint. So they're trying to connect all the terminals together. So that was also very interesting to hear. And then later on that day, I did a tour of LA County Animal Shelter. That evening, I attended the Gardena Holly Park homeowners meeting where our city manager went through an overview of development as it's coming to Gardena, and I want to thank you for doing a great job with that. You did such a good job, there were hardly any questions, so very informative. I also attended the Gardena Police Department pancake breakfast, the Heritage Festival immediately after that, and then on this past Sunday, I attended the Pan Restaurant, their grand opening of their 4th location in the city of Pasadena. So we were really happy to see that the Pan Restaurant is growing the way they are. So that ends my report, and Councilmember Henderson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Because the hour is long, I will not take a long time. But I do want to publicly acknowledge Mr. City Manager and Stephanie Satine for your work on the ICA installation. We really impressed our neighboring cities from all around LA County. Folks like, you could have had this thing anywhere. Why would you have it here? Because we would have it here. Because we are Gardena, California, and I wanted to highlight our city. Everybody was very impressed with the event. Thank you, Madam Mayor, for swearing in. For those that don't know, Independent Cities Association is a consortium of about 40 cities right now, and we focus on public safety and other issues that can be challenging for elected leaders. So I am humbled and honored to be the president of this organization. So we have cities as far as San Gabriel, Glendora, all the way out to our beach cities, all the way up to San Fernando. So that was a great honor. My colleagues mentioned most of the places that I've been, which is great. That means we're all active because we all see each other. I did participate in a voter panel at Cal State Dominguez Hills. The students wanted to have a panel, myself and a few other elected leaders around the county, to talk about the importance of voting and being active in the community, and definitely register to vote. Let's see, what else? I participated in the evaluation of proposals for interested companies that are interested in placing fiber in the South Bay cities. So I was one of the evaluators of those proposals. So we're looking to make smart cities as we move forward. I attended a webinar on artificial intelligence and blockchain and how it can impact cities. I think we're way off as far as it impacting us, but it was good to kind of look ahead. But I know, Mr. City Manager, you kind of look ahead at that stuff too. Coffee with a Cop, LAX tour. Torrance Transit provided the transportation from the South Bay COG to LAX. I'm trying to talk Torrance Transit into testing Wi-Fi on their buses first, so then we can figure out what they did wrong and we can do it right. So I'm putting a challenge to our transportation department. We have a great fun with Torrance Transit. Gardena Pancake Breakfast, I got there towards the end, but I want to thank the chief for having the guys keep some diet pancakes out for me, so I appreciate that. That was very helpful. I enjoyed the street fair immensely, thus the need for the new shirt. What else? Gardena Beautiful, Police and Fire Recognition, Cigar and Wine. This past week, I celebrated my 50th birthday, so that was a major milestone. And I spent that day reading, kind of reflecting and being real reflective and thankful. So I definitely want to thank the Lord for letting me see 50 years thus far. Got another 50 to go, hopefully. Madam Mayor, so ends my report.
Okay, thank you. So before I read our announcements, I'd just like to invite everyone who is still here to please join us in the back as we celebrate Councilmember Henderson's birthday. So a couple of quick announcements here. The first one here is we have a recycle use oil filter and get a new one for free. That'll be offered at AutoZone, which is on Redondo Beach Boulevard on Saturday, October 13th. 2018 from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And all of these announcements, I'm sure, are going to be on our little monitor in the lobby area here. Also, it was mentioned earlier, the 2018 Gardena Job Fair, which will be here at the Nakaoka Community Center on October 18th, 2018 from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And also being offered through the West Basin Municipal Water District, we have the annual water harvest, which is Saturday, October 20th, 2018, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. It is free. I've attended this event several times. It's something for all ages. Little kids can dress up in costumes. They give away a washing machine and a dryer every year. All you have to do is enter the raffle. It's free food. Pony rides, magic shows, you name it. There's a lot going on there. So if you're looking for something to do and somewhere to take your kids, the Water Harvest Festival, and it's free. Also would like to remind those of you who are interested in signing up for CERT, which is a Community Emergency Response Team training. That's our emergency preparedness. The first class begins on October 20th, the second class is October 27th, and the third class is November 3rd. The training is at G-Trans, which is located on 139th and Western. It's free. The class is put on by LA County Fire Department. If you miss the first class, you can always sign up for the second or third class and pick up the first class later on. They are very flexible. We definitely want to make sure, if you're interested in taking emergency preparedness, we want to make sure that you can get in that class. Also, we have our City of Gardena Vaccination and Microchip and Licensing Clinic that will be here at Gardena City Hall on October 21st, 2018. You can get rabies vaccinations for your dogs, as I mentioned, microchipping for $15, and also renew your pet license fee. So it's here at City Hall, Sunday, October 21st, and the time is from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. And then lastly, many of you always see us recognize a Gardena veteran at these meetings. Along with council members being able to nominate people, you too can also submit your name or have your family members submit your name in as well. We have application forms that are here available at City Hall, and it's a very simple form to fill out, and I'm sure somebody here in the staff could walk you through if you have any questions. So that way, if you would like to be recognized here, I believe all you have to do is either live in Gardena, and be honorably discharged. You will be eligible to receive recognition. So at this time, we're going to move on to our remembrances. Tonight, we're going to adjourn our meeting in memory of Mr. Efren Philip Kranitz, who is the beloved father of Assistant City Attorney Lisa Kranitz. We're also going to adjourn in memory of Mrs. Verna Jelks, also known as Michelle Jelks, who was a longtime resident of Gardena, a member of our Second Time Around Seniors Club, and a member of the Gardena Holly Park Association. We're also going to adjourn in memory of Mr. James Osvaldo Rodriguez, who was 62 years old, a guitarist and fellow musician and friend of Councilmember Dan Medina. And lastly, we're going to adjourn in memory of a Miss Wakeko Yamachuchi, who was 93 years of age and a longtime resident of Gardena. So at this time, the Gardena City Council will adjourn to our next regular scheduled City Council meeting, which will be at 7 p.m. on Tuesday, October 23rd. We are adjourned.